All right, so let's talk UX design systems. This won't be very long. This will be a very quick overview, like one slide, two slides overview of design systems. For so, as a disclaimer, if you have stumbled across this video organically on YouTube or elsewhere, these are videos I've created for a very specific set of students who are enrolled in my class at the University of Colorado, Denver. So if you're looking for a more authoritative and much longer, more detailed presentation on UX design systems, you will have to keep looking because this is very specific to an assignment that they are working on. So that said, for my students, let's go over what a design system is and why you must use it for your project. So what are design systems? Sounds very fancy, sounds complicated. It is not. So a design system is a collection of user interface elements and interactions, things like buttons and links and menus, calendar pickers, things like that, that have been predefined. Typically, okay, so there's a couple ways that like design systems exist. Sometimes they're published from like a an operating system. So we're going to be focused on in our project on Apple iOS. So that's essentially the operating system that exists on all of their like portable products. So like the iPhone, the iPad, and the components that live in the designs that have been in apps that have launched on their platform have been essentially like pre-designed. So there's certain fonts that they use. There's certain like spacing requirements. Certain things have like a border radius that's been predefined. There's certain colors, drop shadows, like inner shadows, things like that. So a design system, you know, is essentially like a collection of design artifacts that have been predefined for you to just use out of the box. Sometimes they're not particularly fancy. So, like the ones that you may see for iOS or for Google may just be like the kind of like a minimum version of the design system, meaning that like you can still layer your customizations on it. So, if you have a color palette that you're looking to use, you don't have to use what they've defined. You can customize based on that. Another way that you also see design systems are typically internally at a company. So let's take Amazon, for example, because I've got experience there. We've got a design system for the shopping experience. We have a different one for the search experience. We have one for our internal tools. We have one for sellers, when they're like in their interface, like putting in information. So like AWS, has their own public facing one. They've got their own internal facing one. So design systems, again, are like this collection of patterns and like interface elements, and they're meant to save you time as a designer. They so like there are design teams that have created and published these to help speed up your design process so that you don't have to redesign every single element from scratch. So design systems are definitely great when you're first starting off and designing something for the first time. So with the iOS app, you're designing for iOS, just use their elements and focus on the content and focus on the design of the app and less about like designing the right radio button or designing the right button or designing the right text field, for example, because those things kind of like exist out of the box. There's inherent benefits to using them that we'll go to in like the next mini lecture that I have. So one example, so I won't show like the Apple version. I want to give a little bit of variety since you'll be looking enough at the Apple version. So here is Android M3. So M stands for material. So their design system is called Material Design. Um, so let me switch views here. So this is actually um, a Figma file. That's the word, a Figma file of all the components that have been pre-designed. So let me hide the sidebars here. So you'll see here. So if you are a loyal Android user, some of these things might seem really familiar. So here's all like the badges where you see the number indicators, so like the number of emails you have and the number of text messages you have. See, these have been predefined, so you don't have to like draw those from scratch. You can just copy paste that into your design file. Similarly, all these buttons, for example, you don't have to create them from scratch. You don't have to guess the corner radius or the spacing between all the content. All of this is done for you. And here you've got light mode, and then here you've got dark mode. So again, like these are meant to help you save time. I think when students are designing apps from scratch, they feel the pressure of having to like everything on your screen, like they feel the pressure of having everything on the screen be custom designed. Like they actually drew the box and they changed the radius, the corner radius and colors. Um, in my class, I don't want you to spend time on those things because they've already been done for you. And in the industry, chances are you will be expected to work from a pre-existing design system anyways. So it's good practice to start from some of these, like foundational elements and to build your app from there. That's not saying that you won't get hired to design a design system. So at some point, it will be valuable for you to like create some of this stuff from scratch. But the chances of that are quite low. And most likely you will be using like a parent library. So you'll be using Bootstrap, or you'll be using like iOS or Material Design, and you'll be creating a customized version of that. You won't actually be creating it from scratch. So I want you to definitely use what's been pre-made. Again, that's meant to save you time. You'll inherit all of the design decisions that have been made, and you're just working from the latest source of truth at that point. So again, as an overview, much of the major software publishers, so Microsoft has their own, Apple has their own, Android has their own. You'll see here, this is just an example of that UX design system that has been pre-designed, ready for you to copy, paste, drag and drop, so that you can focus on more important things like innovating on design concepts and less about innovating the input date picker, because someone has already done that work. You don't need to do it. Chances are that might not be something that you're interested in. So I don't want to have to make you design everything from scratch. So again, use the design system for your iOS project. You can go to Apple's development and design website, and they will have stencil kits or UI kits that you can download for XD and just use right away. That way you don't have to redesign it from scratch.